Sarah had never believed in ghosts. As a pragmatic journalist, she dealt in facts, not folklore. But when she received a call from her estranged sister Emily, begging for her help, she found herself driving down a winding country road toward the dilapidated family cabin nestled in the heart of Whispering Pines Forest. The forest was infamous for its eerie reputation. Locals spoke in hushed tones about shadowy figures and disembodied whispers. Sarah had always dismissed these tales as mere superstitions, but the fear in Emily's voice had been unmistakable. Upon arrival, the cabin looked as if it hadn't been touched in decades. The windows were cracked, and the wooden walls were cloaked in a thick layer of ivy. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and decay. As Sarah stepped out of her car, a chill ran down her spine. The forest seemed to close in around her, the towering trees blocking out the sun, casting long, sinister shadows. Emily met her at the door, her eyes wide with terror. She looked gaunt and sleep-deprived, a stark contrast to the vibrant woman Sarah remembered. "It's happening again, Sarah," Emily whispered, clutching her sister's arm. "Just like when we were kids." Sarah's heart pounded. She hadn't thought about their childhood summers at the cabin in years. The nights filled with unexplained noises, the feeling of being watched. She had convinced herself it was all a product of overactive imaginations. "What exactly is happening?" Sarah asked, forcing herself to remain calm. "The whispers," Emily replied, her voice trembling. "They've started again. I can't sleep. I feel like I'm losing my mind." Sarah felt a prickle of unease, but remained skeptical. She decided to stay the night to investigate. As darkness fell, the sisters huddled together in the dusty living room, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the walls. Around midnight, Sarah heard it, the faintest whisper, like the rustling of leaves. She strained to listen, her rational mind grappling with the inexplicable. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, forming words she couldn't quite understand. Suddenly, Emily screamed, pointing at the window. Sarah turned just in time to see a pale face vanish into the darkness. Her blood ran cold. She grabbed a flashlight and bolted outside, determined to confront the intruder. But the forest was silent, the only sound her own ragged breathing. The next morning, Sarah was exhausted, but resolute. She needed answers. She began digging through old family records and local archives, uncovering the cabin's dark history. It had once belonged to a reclusive widow, Margaret Blackwood, who was rumored to be a witch. In the late 1800s, villagers accused her of cursing the land, and in a fit of hysteria, they burned her alive. Her charred remains were never found, and her spirit was said to haunt the forest, seeking vengeance. Sarah's skepticism began to waver. That night, armed with newfound knowledge, she and Emily performed a ritual they found in one of Margaret's old journals, hoping to appease her restless spirit. They lit candles and recited the incantation, their voices trembling. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the temperature plummeted, and the whispers returned, louder and more menacing. The candles flickered violently, and a gust of wind extinguished them, plunging the room into darkness. Sarah felt a cold hand grasp her shoulder, and she turned to see a figure standing in the shadows. It was Margaret Blackwood, her face twisted in anger and sorrow. "You took everything from me," the spirit hissed. "Now you will suffer as I did." Sarah's mind raced. "We're sorry," she pleaded. "We didn't know. How can we make this right?" The spirit's eyes softened. "Release me," she whispered. "Find my remains and lay them to rest. Determined, the sisters spent the next day searching the forest. Near the charred remains of an old oak tree, they found a buried box containing Margaret's ashes. They performed a solemn burial, offering a heartfelt apology. As the last rays of sunlight faded, a sense of peace settled over the forest. The whispers ceased, and for the first time in weeks, Emily slept soundly. Sarah returned to the city, forever changed. She had come seeking a story, but found something far more profound. The forest still held its secrets, but the whispers had ended. The spirit of Margaret Blackwood was finally at rest, and so, too, were the sisters who had freed her.